Hi everyone, my name is Pat. I'm a member and Deputy Chair of the Australian-New Zealand Fontan Advocacy Committee. I was born in 1987 with double inlet left ventricle, which is a kind of hypoplastic right heart condition. I had a Fontan procedure in 1990 at the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. I had a Bentel procedure when I was 26 years old in 2013, and my major health challenge since that point has been a series of recurring strokes. I actually grew up and have spent most of my life in Hobart, Tasmania. My partner and I moved to Melbourne a couple of years ago, which is where we're based now, when my daughter was about 9 months old, so that I could begin a PhD in philosophical bioethics. Members of ANZFAC are making these videos to introduce ourselves and also to give you a bit of insight into how we're coping with the COVID-19 pandemic. When it became clear that the pandemic was a pandemic and was going to affect cities in Australia, which was from about early March this year, our family made the decision to begin distancing. We have received medical advice from my treating congenital cardiac clinic to work from home and to keep kids home from school and childcare if possible. Fortunately, both my partner and I are able to work, have been able to work from home. My partner works with community sports clubs and their activities have been significantly altered by the pandemic. I'd just accepted some teaching work on campus and at the Alfred Hospital before semester one began, but that was moved online by the university and I was able to work remotely. Like everybody working from home, our office has been kind of impromptu and imperfect, but I think people understand that these are pretty unusual circumstances. Our daughter had started attending childcare right at the start of this year, and she just started to really enjoy attending childcare. But we withdrew her from care in early March, and we've been splitting caring duties to enable both my partner and I to get some work done as well. I'm generally with my daughter in the mornings, and my partner is with her in the afternoons. It's difficult to find enough time sometimes to get the work that you need to do done, and it's even more difficult to find time to spend together as a family. But having to spend some extra time with my daughter in these early years is a pretty good problem to have, really. Coping with COVID-19 hasn't really been dramatic for me and my family. It's mostly been pretty monotonous, which has its own challenges, I guess. We had some international travel planned for work and a bit of a family holiday later in the year. And instead of that, we've been at home or at our 3 local parks, having our groceries delivered to our door, instead of going out, having one trip in the car out each week to go to pathology for a blood test, and that's sort of been our life since early March. So we share that kind of sense of loss that I think the whole community is feeling around this pandemic, especially here in Melbourne, where we're currently in stage 4 restrictions. For us, we've been kind of weighing the pros and cons of being in Melbourne against being in Tasmania for a while now, and restrictions add a whole new dimension to those calculations. Tasmania has family and is, at least right now, relatively unrestricted, but its underlying specialty health system is just not as strong as it is in Melbourne. My congenital cardiology clinic has always been based here in Melbourne. Melbourne has a lot of opportunities, but many of those we can't really take advantage of right now. All that said, given the uncertainty about COVID-19 and the danger that it potentially poses to a lot of people in our community, especially those of us with congenital heart disease, I think the action that's being taken to contain the virus is worth it. The lack of endpoint to the situation is pretty unsettling, but I'm optimistic that we'll continue to learn more about COVID-19 and how to better manage it into the future. In the meantime, I've been pretty lucky to be able to focus on one big ongoing project, my PhD, which is generally a fairly solitary pursuit anyway. And I think I am sort of fortunate that I'm the kind of person for whom that kind of focus can be a bit of an escape. Since I've got a lot of colleagues and classmates who are in the same situation, we've set up a few reading groups to help share isolation, which has been really good. My partner and I have been trying to make sure that we carve out a little bit of time each day for each of us to do some exercise. I usually try to do a small body weight workout and try to keep up with my daughter's running in our local open spaces. We've been trying to keep in touch with family interstate with regular video calls, and we've been sort of walking around the neighbourhood spotting bears and stuffed toys in people's windows. None of us really know when we're going to get back to normal or what normal will be like, COVID-19 normal, I guess. One thing that those of us with congenital illness are used to, though, is that we're used to writing our own definition of normal. If you need support, remember there are people you can reach out to, and our community, the Fontan community, is here to support people who are living with a Fontan circulation. So please do keep in touch with your friends and your family, your cardiologist, and if you'd like to get in touch with us at ANZFAC, and we can provide some information or maybe a referral to somebody else. Stay well, look after yourself, and look after each other. Thanks.